Good evening everybody, welcome back once again to Axel's Wrestling Review. As always, I am your host Darren Dyer, better known in the Twitter world to many of you as Axel Mulligan. Whatever you want to call me, I've probably been called worse. Basically, as I mentioned earlier in the week during the Ring of Honor review, the Review of Honor, I'll be breaking the show down into two episodes basically. So the first episode each week will be the Review of Honor on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I'm hoping normally it'd be on a Wednesday. It depends what wrestling I've got to watch before that, because that is basically all I do with my life at the moment is watch wrestling, because there is so fucking much of it. You know, a lot of independent stuff going on, a lot going on in the WWE. I still haven't managed to watch the entire Royal Rumble pay-per-view yet. Still haven't managed to watch Raw from last week's SmackDown, but I have managed to watch NXT. I always make a point of watching NXT even if I've not watched anything else. NXT is the number one in WWE for me. And Ring of Honor, I'll always make a point of watching Ring of Honor every Monday night, if not a Tuesday night. So as I say, Ring of Honor will be reviewed during the week, NXT on a weekend. So instead of having one long 45-50 minute show, the show's going to be broken down into two episodes. So you'll have a 20-25 minute show for each broadcast, basically 25 minutes for NXT and 25 minutes there or thereabouts for Ring of Honor. Didn't think I'd be able to record today, at least anyway. I was thinking more so I'd be recording this show tomorrow. My granddad got remarried earlier today to his new wife Val, and if you'll pardon the wrestling pun, it was a lovely low-key affair. You know, small reception in a registry office, and you know, as I say, it was a lovely day. They enjoyed their day, which is the main thing, surrounded by all the family from both families. And you know, it was a lovely day. So 79 years of age, my granddad, you know, he's managed to find the person he wants to spend the rest of his life with. So I'm obviously happy for him. My family's obviously happy for him. Val, my new grandmother, I suppose. You know, everybody's happy. So congratulations to both of them. So yeah, NXT this week. Passable. It was good. There was a lot of questionable writing. Tom Phillips was back on commentary. That was a big positive. I've always liked Tom as a commentator. I've always made a point of praising Tom Phillips because I think he is the best play-by-play guy that WWE have got. And it not only does it strengthen the product, it also hides a lot of the flaws that I personally think Alex Riley has got, and Jason Albert. Jason Albert, he's just not progressed as a commentator, and Alex Riley just seems to be going downhill for me. I think maybe if Riley was on the same announced team as Graves, because they did a good job at Takeover. So you know, maybe if they had Graves, Riley, and Brennan together, maybe, and then Renee, Tom, and Albert, I think those two teams could work quite well. Failing that, just have one announced team. Get Alex Riley back in the ring, Jason Albert. It's hard to know what to do with Jason Albert, you know, because Renee's doing a good job on commentary right now. Corey Graves, I think, has got a big future as a commentator, and Tom Phillips is a good commentator. But then where do they go with Rich Brennan? You know, Tom Phillips for me should still be up on the main roster. Granted, yes, he is doing main event. Michael Cole shouldn't probably be doing Raw and SmackDown, or shouldn't be doing both Raw and SmackDown rather. So you know, there's probably a spot for Tom Phillips on SmackDown where he could replace Cole and then work alongside King and Saxton, because Phillips and Saxton had good chemistry in NXT together. So maybe if the sole announced team in NXT was to be Rich Brennan, Corey Graves, and Alex Riley, or Renee Young maybe instead of Alex Riley, get Alex Riley back into the ring. Because he wasn't a bad wrestler. A lot of people give him shit, but I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he was a bit green, but he wasn't a bad wrestler by any stretch, you know. There's a lot of people that do come into the company green, you know. You look at Mason Ryan, he made it onto the main roster and he was greener than the grass in my fucking garden. And Batista, when he debuted in 2002, Batista was green as shit. But, you know, I don't know, if anybody's got any opinions, as I always say, if anybody's got any opinions on announced teams, I know some people don't like Tom Phillips. I think Tom Phillips is the best play-by-play guy that they've got. I thought Byron Saxton was a good play-by-play, babyface play-by-play announcer when he was doing it initially down in NXT. But as I say, if anybody's got any opinions, just leave a comment below, send me a message or tweet. at Axel Mulligan or at A Wrestling Review, or on the Facebook page Axel's Wrestling Review. First match on the show was KalistiCara versus the Outback Cowboys, the names that I've dubbed those two teams, the Lucha Dragons, which is just fucking plain boring, and Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake. Basically the match came about last week. The Outback Cowboys defeated the Vaudevillains, and then they just went on to challenge, you know, there's a little backstage segment where they said, right, we want to challenge Kalisto and KalistiCara for a tag team title match next week. And lo and behold, they got the match, and I took it at the time. I said I'll take it because I like the team of Murphy and Blake, but they've had one win until now, and for anybody who hasn't seen the show and is looking at this show now to get the results for the match, you could tell by the tone of my voice, I expect, that I wasn't happy that Murphy and Blake won the tag team titles on the show. It just didn't work, because we don't know anything about them. We know Wesley Blake, his former character was that of a cowboy, hence part of the reason why I've dubbed the team the Outback Cowboys. Buddy Murphy's from Australia, hence the other half of the Outback Cowboys. But that's as much as we know about them, you know. What confused me even more was, like, last week they seemed to work more as a heel team. A face team last week against the Vaudevillains. And this week they were working more as a heel team. Not necessarily in character, but by the way they wrestled the match. And they had a backstage interview later on in the show, and they were like back to being babyface again. It's just like, where's the sense in this writing? I didn't understand where they were going with it, and I don't understand why they've rushed the belts onto Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake. It didn't make any sense to me. But a lot of the show didn't make any fucking sense to me, in all honesty. But it just didn't make much sense why they put the belts on Blake and Murphy now, unless they're talking of moving Kalisto up to the main roster. And I'm hoping they will team in with KalistiCara on the main roster, you know, to get the Lucha Dragons some exposure on the main roster. Kalisto is probably the most ready on NXT, well, aside from Sami Zayn, but obviously he's got his thing going on with Kevin Owens, which could last up to another fucking year. Which I'm not complaining about, by the way. I think that could be brilliant. I just think there's possibly a better platform for that feud. But I don't understand, if they were going to do it, why didn't they maybe have them in a non-title match this week and then defeat them at TakeOver? Just didn't make any sense. Why Blake and Murphy won the belts? They basically, it was unexplained. There's not been enough explained about them. Just doesn't make sense. There's no story to them. It's like, I don't mind, like, sometimes when guys come up to the main roster and they win a title in their first match, like what Paige did last year, because then we got to know a little bit about Paige. I knew about Paige anyway, being an avid NXT watcher. But to the average viewer who doesn't watch NXT, they would just be like, well, who the fuck is this? It works sometimes. I think it worked with Paige to an extent, but it's just not working with Blake and Murphy. As I say, they've not won a match until last week, and now they're the fucking tag team champions. But I'm expecting a rematch at TakeOver. Obviously they'll retain, and probably after WrestleMania we'll see Kalisto up on the main roster. Like, I don't know. I don't like what they've done here. It's not often that I criticise the writing team in NXT, but this whole show is just something to criticise, really. Tyson Kidd versus Adrian Neville in the NXT NXT Championship number one contenders tournament was up next, and I was actually hoping for a brilliant wrestling match, and what we got wasn't chicken shit, but it wasn't chicken salad. Basically, Kidd was running away from Neville to create the opening. He eventually created the opening, dominated the middle section of the match before Neville came back at the end to hit the red arrow and win. Typical face versus heel match when you've got two fantastic wrestlers. Again, didn't make much sense why the match was booked like this. So Neville won with a red arrow. Just again, another match that didn't really make much sense to me is why it was booked the way it was. You know, there was a few impressive little spots, but other than that, it was basically the start of the match was Neville psyching out Tyson Kidd with his acrobatic work. And Alex Riley was shitting on it on commentary, as he always fucking does. I just think that he just likes to bury people, really, but that's just my opinion. You know, Saxton doesn't do that on the main roster. JBL does it. Well, no, JBL doesn't say, I wouldn't say JBL doesn't do it to an extent. JBL just does it full fucking stop. Yeah, Neville's through to the next round. He'll face the winner of Bull Dempsey and Baron Corbin, which was later on in this show. Women's tag team match next, and again, Bayley and Charlotte versus Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. It's just lazy booking. It's lazy booking, you know. And after what kicked off last week, why the fuck are we seeing this? Honestly, it's just, as I said, it's a gun to the head job with how they're booking the women's division in NXT, because the only thing I was thinking throughout this match, and later on in the show I got my wish, was NXT needs Emma, because she's doing fuck all on the main roster. She shouldn't have been called up when she was. Not to say she wasn't ready, it's just that they didn't have anything for her aside from a little fucking gimmick with Santino Marella, which you know is just going to instantly fucking bury somebody. You look at Vladimir Kozlov back in, 2008, 2009, when he decided to team with Santino. Vladimir Kozlov was a fucking monster, the Moscow Mauler, as JR alluded to him as, at one stage in his career. You know, he was fighting for the WWE Championship at pay-per-view main events, and then he just went to a joking fucking tag team with Santino Marella. Don't get me wrong, I like the Santino character, but it's like the John Cena syndrome, really. Anybody who goes anywhere near John Cena gets buried. Anyone who goes anywhere near Santino gets fucking buried, basically. As I said, I like Santino because I think he is a good wrestler, or was, or whatever his status of his career is these days. But, you know, they booked him completely wrong after his, I think it was his second Intercontinental Championship win. And people like Vladimir Kozlov and Emma unfortunately didn't benefit from it. Basically, going back on track, Bayley and Charlotte versus Becky and Sasha. As I say, lazy booking. The end of the match, though, I did enjoy because it just broke out into an all-out fucking brawl. And basically, Becky and Sasha managed to get out of the ring in some way, shape or form. I can't really remember now, but Bayley and Charlotte went after one another and they were beating 10 bells of piss out of one another. I thought it was brilliant. Basically, they had to be separated, but they were still going at it while they were being separated. I thought it was a fantastic way to end a match which was booked rather lazily, as I say. What I think I would have preferred to have seen was Becky versus Bayley, because I don't think we've seen that match one-on-one yet, and if we have seen it, it's not been overdone like this stupid fucking tag team match has been overdone for the last 2 or 3 months. But it sets it up, the way the match ends, it sets it up quite nicely for TakeOver in a couple of weeks' time. Fatal 4-way for the Women's Championship, and I'm going to stick by my guns. It is just a way for Charlotte to lose the championship without being pinned. That's the only way I see it. Is Charlotte's going to lose the championship and she's not going to be pinned. As I keep saying as well, I'd love for Sasha to pick up the championship, but whether she does or doesn't, maybe Becky. What if Becky were to pin Sasha, or Sasha were to pin Becky, just to break up Team Bay? Fucking cringeworthy name, but it's one of those things, you know. I'm expecting it to happen, but whether it does or doesn't, because I think Charlotte probably should have lost the championship at the last TakeOver event to Sasha Banks, but it looks like they're trying to protect her because she's probably the one who's going to be moving up next. So they're probably going to try and protect her with maybe Sasha pinning Bayley, or Bayley pinning Sasha, or Becky pinning somebody, or Becky being pinned, or however it happens to be. But Charlotte's going to stay away from the pinfall, I think we'll find. Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin was up next. Nothing out of the unordinary for these two, a short match. I thought Bull Dempsey should have won it. He didn't win it, obviously, as you know. Well, I thought Bull should have won it to even up at 1 apiece. As much as I understand why Baron Corbin won the match, because obviously they're trying to build him up as a big baby face, but he shows signs of having some decent in-ring acumen, I suppose. He's just a big guy, basically. No more, no less than that. But I think he's, you know, there's 2 former football players in NXT. You've got Baron Corbin and you've got Mojo fucking Rawley. And out of the 2, Baron Corbin looks like fucking Ric Flair. Mojo Rawley just, he's blowing after 5 minutes of a match. He's just, his entrance has obviously got something to do with that, but this was in the number 1 contenders tournament. Baron goes into the next round where he faces Adrian Neville next week in the semi-finals. But as I say, I'd like to have seen Bull Dempsey go through, because then Baron's got something to chase, whereas Bull Dempsey, he's lost to him twice now, and it just makes him seem desperate to pick up a win. But I think, we're going to see a third match somewhere down the line, aren't we? Where we see it is another matter altogether. Contract signing, and this was the most disappointing part of the fucking show. Contract signing Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and Regal comes out, he brings out both men, brings out Sami Zayn first, the champion, brings out Kevin Owens, the challenger. Well, sorry, it wasn't a championship match up at that point. I've just spoiled the fucking segment. Regal basically, he brings them both out and he says, neither man can touch the other, until takeover, because if they do that, he'll cancel the match. Zayn signs the contract straight away, and Owens refuses to, saying, "That's not the prize. That's the prize." Pointing at Sami Zayn, saying he's not the prize. The title is the prize. The title means money. It means more, a better lifestyle for myself, for my wife, for my children, and it means more money. It means, I've got a higher placing in the company, and he really builds up the NXT Championship, which was good to see, because I don't think enough people do that. I think Sami Zayn's done it a lot, and I don't think they did it enough while Adrian Neville was the champion. I don't think they did it enough when Bo Dallas was the champion either. And probably the same with Big E Langston when he was the NXT champion. I think Sami Zayn is the first, I want to say legitimate, but I don't think legitimate is the right word to use. He's the first champion to really sort of give that title some real prestige. As much as Seth Rollins was a good champion, Bo Dallas was a good champion as well, don't get me wrong, towards the end of his NXT career. But Sami sort of brought a bit of life to the title, and Kevin Owens wants a piece of that cake. He basically says to Regal, he says, "I'm not signing it until this contract reads that this is an NXT Championship match." It says non-title, I wanted to say NXT Championship match. And Regal basically says he's not going to do it, and Sami Zayn says he's not fooling you, he's not going to sign that this contract until that contract says that it's a championship match. He says he wants it, I want it, these people want it, and that gets a pretty good pop from the crowd, to be fair. So Regal amends the contract to appease everybody, aside from himself, of course, and Owens signs it. He throws a pen at Sami to antagonise him, I suppose, or to provoke him. And as Sami looks like he's about to go after Kevin as he's leaving the ring, Regal obviously has to hold him back, because otherwise it'd say the match is off, basically. One thing that was going around in my head is, what if Regal were to screw Sami Zayn out of the championship and side with Kevin Owens, or if Triple H were to side with Kevin Owens? I don't think that's likely to happen. Maybe Regal is the more likely option. It was just something I was thinking, just to further, just to add a bit more intensity to the feud. It's something I'd like to see personally, because I think Regal works better as a heel than he does a face, as much as they would struggle to get him over as a heel in NXT. I think the only way that they could do it is for him to cost Sami Zayn the NXT Championship, purposely cost Sami Zayn the NXT Championship. As I say, whether they do it or whether they don't do it, I personally, I'd love to see it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? As I always say, leave a comment or send me a tweet. Let me know what you think. Let me know your opinions. I was saying, okay-ish show, bad show, not a great show. Obviously, I've given it 5.5 out of 10. A lot of improvement needs to be done next week, or whatever they've done for next week needs to be a big improvement on this show. And also for TakeOver, obviously, TakeOver's got a big one. The TakeOver events, the Arrival event that we've seen previously, were obviously fantastic shows, and I think this one could be, of that kind of ilk as well. Next week, Hideo Itami versus Finn Balor, first match announced for next week. How is that not going to improve on this crap that we saw this week? unless one of them's going to play like fucking Tyson Kidd did, like running away like a pussy. No pun intended, obviously, with the cats. So yeah, we got Hideo versus Finn Balor. We got Emma versus Carmella. Emma's back. She's coming back to avenge her previous loss to Carmella, I suppose. And then we got Adrian Neville versus Baron Corbin as well. Whether there are any other matches announced or not, I'm not sure. But those were the three that were announced as of this show. And so far for takeover, we've only got two matches. We got Zayn versus Owens for the NXT Championship. We got Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, and Becky for the NXT Women's Championship. As I said, I'm expecting a NXT Tag Team Championship rematch between KalistiCara and the Outback Cowboys. I just can't believe they booked it like that. Can't believe they booked it the way they did, because it didn't make any sense, as I said earlier. And I'm also expecting to see Tyler Breeze involved somehow. So obviously he's got this thing going on with Marcus Louis, where Marcus Louis basically fucking stalking him. But how they go about that, you know, only time will tell. There's an independent show next weekend, FWE Family Wrestling Entertainment, their No Limits 2015 pay-per-view. That's next Saturday, the 7th of Feb. If you want to watch that on iPay-per-view, I believe, only because I've been emailing them back and forth because I had some problems when I was trying to basically buy the pay-per-view, rfvideonow.com. I think it's about $15, which is probably about £12. I watched two FWE shows last year, as I've said before. I reviewed them both. For me, two fantastic shows, Refueled Night 1 and Night 2. Just a few matches here I've listed, because it's the only ones I can remember off the top of my head. We've got Drew Galloway versus Matt Hardy in what should be, well, it's Drew fucking Galloway. He's one of my favourite professional wrestlers right now. You know, he's doing some great work on the American independent circuit. And he's doing a great job for ICW as well. He's as you know, as many people know, he's their heavyweight champion at the moment. Well, unless he lost it at the Square Go show last weekend, which I've still not watched yet either. Tommy Dreamer versus Tommy Dreamer versus Joey Ryan in a Joey Ryan rules match. What a Joey Ryan rules match is, I have absolutely no fucking idea, but only one way to find out is to tune in. And Triborough Championship is on the line, which is the champion Paul London defending against Matt Sydal, the two masters of the Shooting Star Press. Just make it through, they get Brock Lesnar in there as well. At least we'll see a decent botch that night. No, it should be a good match, I think. Always been a fan of London, always been a fan of Sydal as well. So, as I say, rfvideonow.com will be streaming the pay-per-view live next Saturday night for anybody who wants to watch it. I most certainly will be watching it. We've also got House of Hardcore show coming up in March the 7th, I believe that is. I just don't think there's any more pay-per-views coming up in the next few weeks, at least anyway. But anyway, that's the end of the show, everybody. Thank you for listening. As I always say, you know, follow me on Twitter at Axel Mulligan. Check out the Axel's Wrestling Review Twitter page. A Wrestling Review. That's wrestling spelt without the G. All these things will be above my head like they were for the Ring of Honor show. Check out the Axel's Wrestling Review Facebook page. Just search Axel's Wrestling Review. As I say, the link will be above my head. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and I'll be back again next Wednesday/Thursday for the Review of Honor.